share with you a slide so that I can proceed. Can you all see this slides? Yeah, are the slides visible? Okay. So today our topic of discussion is about predictive models for forecasting. So as the name suggests, the aim for today is about forecasting. So why we need this forecasting and all? So it's quite obvious that if you can forecast something, you will take necessary actions or remedies needed so that you can secure your future and secure your profits in the business and all those things. So now coming to what is this predictive modeling? So this is basically modeling means you need to create a model or design a model where you will be different parameters you will be considering, different entities, different attributes you have to analyze and put it in a model so that if you use it for prediction, it becomes a predictive modeling. So already we have covered about your data models, your information models and all. So this predictive model is a special type of model where you use it specially for predicting the outcomes. Okay. So generally there are multiple synonyms for the same. The predictive analysis or the predictive analytics and machine learning. These three terms are used interchangeably and you can use this for the predictive modeling. So any predictive modeling that you do, let me just show you this graph. So this is this predictive modeling, predictive analytics and predictive analysis. These three things are synonymous, and actually this graph whatever I have showed is this search in Google, like people search predictive modeling. So this blue, red and yellow. So out of this generally people search predictive analytics, but these are like synonyms. So because of that they search this is the search statistics, how people have searched over the years. And nowadays actually there is a term called machine learning, so that also is a synonym for this predictive analysis. Okay, because you use nowadays machine learning for predicting the future or analyzing the trend and then predicting what will happen or forecast that. So because of that, if you consider machine learning now, the search criteria statistics would be quite higher now, because though it is a kind of synonym to all these things, because of all these jargons which come across now, so this trend has inclined towards the machine learning thing. Now all these terms are interchangeable. You can anyway go through the slides I have written where all people use this priorly. So now coming over to the overview. So predictive modeling is useful because it gives accurate insight into any question and allows user to create forecast. So that's what I said, you will be forecasting something through this predictive models. So to maintain why you need to forecast? Suppose you have built your IoT company, IoT based company, and one of your competitor also has a company. So obviously to increase your quarterly sales and all those things, you need some kind of a forecast or some kind of a instinct into the future so that you can have a cutting edge over your competitors. So that's what is needed. So analytics professional often use data from the following sources. So what kind of data? So if you are predicting something or you are creating a model for forecast, obviously you need different kinds of data. So these are the data that generally help you predict the future or design a model which is predictive in nature. So you need your customer relationship CRM data, customer service data, then digital marketing and advertising data. So all this data, all kinds of data are necessary, and as I told you, everything is data driven now. So all this data play a major role in creating or designing your predictive model which will help you forecast the future or predict the future. So next, a process should be like analyst must organize the data, whatever data. Anyway, you have lot of millions of data using which you can predict your model. Now you need to analyze this data, okay, and create it, sort it properly, all those things. Because of all this data, we studied that tagging concept, because tagging helps you in sorting data, retrieving data, all those things. So now analysts must organize this data to align with a model, so computers can create forecast. Okay. So this business intelligence tools provide insights into the form of dashboards, visualizations, reports. So everything is necessary. A process should be put in place to ensure continued improvement. So while integrating your predictive models into the actual business practice, like if you have your business already, your IoT business or everything set up, how to integrate your predictive model into the business is using these many things. Like you can use the benchmark analysis, where you need to have a benchmarking analysis, then data gathering, data cleansing analysis, then executing on plans, streamlining processes. So these are some of the things you need to consider if you want to integrate the your business plan with the predictive model. So now coming over to some example. Now consider one example. Suppose there is a chip-based company who wants to manufacture, who goes on manufacturing chips in the market. So you need to I don't know. There is one law called the Moore's law or something, where it says that every 10 years, I guess. So 10 years or 2 years. Does anybody know Moore's law? Do you remember that? Moore's law, whatever you call. Does anyone know that? Sorry? Hello?
Now it's that in every decade, the number of transistors double.
Yeah, transistors double in how many years?
Every 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Decade.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I was also remembering 10 years, then I got confused whether it's actually 10 years. Because now, if you think 10 years is a huge duration, I think it might be doubling even faster now. So as per the Moore's law, every 10 years the number of transistors in a chip doubles. Okay, so that is what a prediction he made. Okay, so that was based on various, like he would have taken so much data, he would have analyzed this over a period of time, then he would have predicted that. So now if you are opening a chip based company and you are manufacturing your chips, okay, so you have number of, like suppose thousand or millions of transistors. Next you want to forecast after 2 years or after 5 years how it would be. So obviously you need to analyze the number of customers, the population would have increased to that time. Then obviously the people generally in the medium, young generation would be preferring to use your product rather than the children or the older people. So accordingly, how many people will be in the young or middle age range, that you need to calculate. Then depending on what kind of future, how many new devices would have come, how many new devices would be needing transistors or chips designed by you. So all those predictions need to be taken care of by the company. So it is not only the job of the company to simply manufacture the product and leave, rather depending on the future, it needs to predict that the demand would have increased to this much. I should be able to manufacture this, I need to be able to manufacture and increase my productivity to 2 times or 3 times, or else I won't be able to cater to all the customers. So all these things have to be taken care of by the companies. So that's why whenever a company comes, any company, any, suppose you design your smartwatch or something, so any company you are creating, apart from having your actual production and all, you need to have a team who will be predicting your future, who will be predicting your sales after 2 years or 5 years down the line. And accordingly decisions need to be taken at that moment of time for a future. Okay, so all this, there are basically four types of data analytics, or data analytics. That is, these are the four types. The first one is descriptive analytics. Okay, so what is this descriptive analytics? So suppose you have your company, for your first quarter you had some sales, like suppose 30 million sales, and the next quarter it increased to suppose 70 millions. So if you can put the analytics in a descriptive way, like this is in Q1 I got this many sales, and Q2 this was my sale, Q3 this is my sale. So if you can put all your like analytics in a descriptive way, it is called as descriptive analysis. Next comes diagnostic analysis. So this is like the reason behind the descriptive analysis. Like you need to diagnose. So in the descriptive analysis, you simply say that in Q1 this was my sale, in Q2 this was my sale. But in diagnostic, you need to give the reason behind that sale. Okay, so that is your diagnostic analysis, where you try to diagnose the reason or to diagnose the future, all those things. The diagnosis part comes in. Next comes your predictive analysis. So all this is the third one. First is descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and this fourth one is prescriptive. Okay, so these are the four types of data analytics that have been followed, and out of this, the most important, important or most like relevant one nowadays is this third one, that is predictive analysis, which all companies are following, like blindly following predictive analysis, because this helps you increase your productivity after like 2 years or 3 years in the future. For the current year also, like for the present also, you can make changes so that it helps you in increasing your sales and productivity, all those things. So this is the third type, that is predictive analysis. So what it does, it uses techniques such as machine learning. So obviously you have to rely on machine learning and data mining to predict what might happen next. Okay, it can never predict. Obviously, it is not like you are predicting future like a like what you tell that palmistry or something. It's not like that. But you can at least specify that what are the likely outcomes. Okay, that's what you can say. It's not that future whatever you predict that will be correct only, but like likely outcomes at least you can have a like I have an idea about. So data analysts can build predictive models once they have enough data to make predictive outcomes. So always remember, if you are doing predictive analysis, that is nothing but you are relying on machine learning. It relies heavily on data. Okay, so data is the key to all the machine learning algorithms. So this was like, now the researchers have come across with different approaches, which is called as unsupervised techniques. Okay, don't you just have some idea about that, that there is something called as unsupervised, where without data also, like in not labeled data also, you can predict something. Okay, doesn't matter now. So this is the third type, that is predictive analysis. Fourth one is your prescriptive analysis. So what is prescriptive analysis? As you go to a doctor, suppose he gives you prescription where he writes down what medicines you need, what like medications you need to take. So similarly, this is the fourth kind of data analysis, where what happens is, this is the final step and offers you recommendation. So recommendation based on the predicted outcome. So suppose you in your predictive analysis, you have suggested that I need to increase my productivity by 2 times, or I need to double my sales. That things I need. So this is in your predictive analysis. Now for that, what you need to prescribe? You need to open up one more factory or hire for like 1,000 more people. So that's what your prescriptive analysis should suggest. What prescription or what recommendation it will give. Like either increase your sales by advertising properly, or increase your like employee number, or increase like build up a new company or new like factory. Those kind of prescriptive things will come under your prescriptive analysis. Now comes, what is the application of this predictive analysis? Okay, so the first one is HR. Okay, now this all the details I have given already in the slides. So let me just tell you how this predictive analysis finds uses in the HR domain. Okay, so what happens in the HR domain is, suppose you are the HR of your company. You are hiring different persons. Okay, so suppose some company like comes for campus recruitment to you university, and they hire some people. So the HR professional or the HR there would be like equipped with this predictive analysis thing. Okay, so he should be able to know. Generally, you might have realized that the companies prefer the medium range students. Some companies don't prefer the like top graders. Okay, suppose there is one topper in your branch, it might happen that some company might not prefer the top either the topper or the gold medalist of the university. That's only because that they are thinking about the long term. They think of the retention capability of the student. So if a person is a topper or some like he has interest in like research and all, so they, even if they find this candidate suitable, they won't be hiring that person or student thinking of a long term, because they know that if I take this person, he's an suppose intelligent person, he has some research interest, so obviously he'll give some GRE TOEFL, he'll go abroad or he'll do something in the research domain or get into the PhD. That kind of thing will happen. So thinking of that, the HR person will not hire the student. Okay, it was not that the student was not intelligent enough to get hired there. It was the HR policy of the company or the predictive analysis of the company or the HR person which made him take this decision that not to hire somebody who is very intelligent or like above the standard of the like normal students. So they generally hire the average level students so that they'll stay in their company for 5 years or 2 3 years, that way. So similarly, all these like considerations that come into picture when you talk about HR policy and predictive analysis. So next, what happens is this one, identifying employees who are high retention risk, and then identifying which interview candidate will perform best in the job. Okay, there sometimes what happens is generally somebody who is not a good scorer, but suppose he is good at programming, those kind of students also get hired because they know that the student can perform the coding and all those job whatever it is given to the student. So next, evaluating the technical skills based on test, other forms of so they generally have this kind of tests, right? They give you forms to fill up where they, apart from your like aptitude, they also try to understand what kind of intention or what kind of nature you have. So that all those PI forms, all those things they do, PI things. So next is aligning incentives so that desired behavior. So they try to give incentives so that the desired behavior is obtained. Like they will give you bonus and all those things. So this also comes under predictive analysis. They know that if they give you Diwali bonus, the people will start working they'll the performance will boost. If they know that if they give you holidays, like they increase the holidays, then the performance will increase. So all these things will affect. Next is we're analyzing whether wellness initiatives affect the performance. So all these companies have this kind of, just a second. Okay. Okay, next. Next comes your so all these things whatever I told, like HR people use this predictive analysis for like proper functioning of the organization. Next comes, there is something called as predictive index. Okay, this is a quantitative measure. Like employers often use this PI value of the predictive index to evaluate the potential candidate and existing employees on interpersonal factors such as dominance, like patience, formality, decision making. So what happens is whenever the employer or the company owner, what he will use, this is one index. Okay, this is like quantitative, this is not a qualitative measure, rather it's like you quantify the predictive index help you like quantify the nature the retention capability of the person. Like suppose PI index, suppose somebody joins in your VIT university in the first year, your HR people in the VIT, what they will do, they might be also having these kind of things, that predictive index. So suppose there is a like state topper, so it's obvious that immediately after joining, so if he gets some good NITs or IITs, he might like leave this institute. So that is called as predictive index. So they quantify. They might have a value between suppose 0. 0.8, 0.9. So the predictive index of that student might be for leaving the institute might be 0.9 or 1. So they are sure that this student will leave after some these many days. So those kind of things also exist in the companies. Is it clear? Okay, could you understand what I am telling? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next comes your next application of this predictive analysis is customer churn prevention. So obviously just think of something. Suppose you are loyal customers of, suppose generally we use those products. These are like general products, like suppose Surf Excel we use. Okay, suppose some persons people might use Arial or something. So it's like a family thing. So if the parents have used Surf Excel, you also try to prefer using Surf Excel. So it passes on from generation to generation. But if at some time you see that some new products are coming up, it's not that obviously whatever our parents are using we will be using that. So we might look into better alternatives, we might look into other alternatives as well. So it's like suppose when will we go for that? Suppose we see some advertisement in the like TV, like people are praising it like anything, then we might feel suffocated in the product which we are using. Okay, so we need to switch to a different product at that time. So what we'll do, so that is called as customer churn. So customer get churned. Churning means, you obviously know the way we make lassi. Churning is the operation. So customer churn. So the customer should never feel like he is being churned. Okay, he should never feel like he is being cheated. So for that, this predictive analysis is needed. To prevent customer churning, the predictive analysis is needed. So that if you generally have your predictive analysis, you will know that when the customer feels like he is being cheated or he is being like duped, so that you can make necessary changes and make sure that the customer never feels that he is being churned. Okay, so let me give you an example. So anyway, this surf example is valid. You can anyway have a look at this slide. I've given all the details about that. Next comes your medical diagnosis. So for medical diagnosis, actually this is one of the very here like rapidly increasing domain of predictive analysis now. So what is happening in this domain is, nowadays you might have seen these apps. Okay, now new apps are there where you get doctor's appointment like suppose in Bangalore and all, if you are like going for a doctor's appointment, you might get it after 15 days or 1 month, that kind of a thing, because the doctors are busy, the population is huge, and there's so many kinds of diseases. Because of this pandemic also, doctors are reluctant to see the patients directly and all. So that's what is happening. So to avoid that, nowadays you have your new apps. What happens where is, you can just register your name, all those details, and suppose you need to refer to a nephrologist or a suppose heart specialist kind of thing. So in that you register that I need to refer to a heart specialist. So what you can do, the moment you register, like you will be given an appointment through app. Okay, the doctor, time, everything will be sent to you, that this is the doctor and all. And the thing is, before you go to the doctor, you have to upload all your documents, whatever you have, like you had done ECG or had done something like EEG kind of thing. So upload all the documents, and so that the doctors have a look at it before you visit them, so that lot of time is saved, lot of waiting due time is also like you need not go and wait in the queue. So you have been given a specific time, so that time you simply get into the doctor's cabin and have a talk and come back. Okay, so that is what happening with like predictive models now. So why this predictive, where this predictive model is coming into picture is, suppose when you are booking the booking for a doctor. Okay, you suppose you don't know what is your problem. Okay, this suppose you want a heart surgeon only if you know you have problem in the heart. But suppose you don't know what is your problem, you simply you have some dizziness, you feel vomiting and all, so whom to refer to? Okay, so what you can do is you can write down your problems, like upload it in the app or whatever, like give your problems and all. So they have some interactive, like this what you would avatar kind of thing. So they'll just interact with you, live demo, like live chatting and all. So they'll give you suggestion that they predict you, like which doctor would be beneficial for you. Okay, so they'll suggest you that this is the doctor, you can visit an nephrologist or a heart specialist or a like orthopedic. All those like suggestions would come from the app side. Okay, so that depends on the predictive analysis they do. So they predict your, like depending on the data given by you, they predict which kind of a doctor you are supposed to meet. So accordingly they'll give you appointments and all. So this ultimately saves time from the doctor side also, because he, whenever he is free, he can see your documents and tell you like medications. And sometimes also, like you need not also go to the doctor, you can have a live discussion over phone, and then the doctor will be suggesting you medicines. So that's what is happening because of this predictive analysis nowadays, that the apps and all are coming up with predictions and giving you suggestions on the medications also. So even if the doctor is not there, they can automatically give you prediction if it is a minor disease. If it is a simple cold or fever, those kind of things, or simple bruise, they can suggest you medicine. So next is predictive maintenance. So when this is the fourth application, so when this predictive maintenance comes into picture. So now in the previous semester, you have studied about IoT, how where IoT is used and all. So we had used that example of heavy vehicle, suppose. So suppose you have a company and you have bought a heavy vehicle, suppose a tractor or a crane you have bought. So you need to regularly check the health of that tractors or the cranes. Okay, so because you might not buy multiple tractors or multiple cranes, you might have taken like bought a single tractor because those are like heavy investment, yeah, and you don't need it all the time. So it's like just during transportation sometime you need. So you need not go for like buying multiple number of tractors, rather you have a single tractor suppose. So you need to continuously track the health of that heavy vehicle, because if you continuously track and you can predict, if you have a predictive model which can predict the health of the tractor in next 1 month, then it will be proactively you will taking care of the tractor. If that doesn't happen and you don't take care of the tractor proactively, what will happen? Ultimately one day the tractor, suppose it gets like damaged or something, some problem happens in the tractor, then your entire business will be stopped, because you have a single tractor and that tractor is now out of order. So you cannot transport product from one side to the other, and everything will be ultimately affected. So to avoid that, predictive maintenance is necessary. So maintenance on a predictive basis, like it's not actually that they demand maintenance now, or they are like there is some damage or something you need to do it now. So you need to do it in a predictive way, like you thinking that it might get damaged, you need to have a predictive maintenance. Is it clear? Yeah, is it clear? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this
Yes.
is called, okay, this is called as predictive maintenance. Next comes customer lifetime value. So this is nothing but you need to analyze the customer, like how much the lifetime of a customer. Like lifetime means suppose you are manufacturing your product, you should be able to predict, suppose a customer, how long will he sustain with you. Okay. So if you predict that some customer is about to leave, you can feel that there is some discomfort, some like problem at the customer end, and he might leave. So you need to take necessary measures. Okay. So because building a new customer again or getting a new customer is actually tough. Rather than suppose you have your existing customer, you can try to like keep them involved and try to give like motivate them further by giving them some incentives or some benefits or something, some extra discount. You have been a loyal customer, so I can give you extra discount. All those things if you do, so obviously the customer lifetime will increase. So that predictive model will help you predict which customer will stay with you for how long. Accordingly, you can make necessary measures. Next is finance and banking. Okay, so now suppose you, because of in this like era where you have been like there's so many fraud calls, fraudulent like transactions happening. So this how this predictive modeling will help. Suppose you have your bank account, you have your like all your online transactions or UPI transactions, whatever you do. So all these details will be saved in like some machine learning algorithm for you specifically. Like for every person there will be different machine learning algorithm, like some memory will be reserved for each person. So what will happen is he will have details of all your transactions, prior transactions. So accordingly he can the algorithm can analyze that each person, like suppose you are spending like 25,000 every month. Okay, suppose that is your transaction detail, like you do some online transaction every month for 10,000 and some house rent, all these things you do, and around 25,000 you spend every month. Okay, that is the statistics your model will be having. Now suddenly suppose you do a transaction of 30 lakhs. Okay, so that obviously will create a doubt in the algorithm's mind that this person every time does this kind of a transaction, why in this month suddenly 30 lakhs is like done. So what he will do, he will send an alert, okay, to the person, that is it actually you that you did this kind of a transaction. So if it is you, then it's fine. So depending on the like trends and all, it can predict that next month you will be also spending 30,000, next month also 30,000. So that's how the prediction can go on. But if there is some ambiguity in the predictive algorithm, like some anomaly that happens which is not compatible with the predictive model's output, so the customer or the person will be indicated. Next is logistic optimization. So when this comes into picture, suppose you have a company, suppose you have your suppose Amazon delivery kind of company, suppose Amazon you think. So what Amazon will do, so there are customers ordering the product from various parts of India, so they will have that kind of a trend. Suppose it's not that you are the first person from your area ordering in Amazon, so they store all this data. Suppose they have the hub in Mumbai, suppose, so they want to distribute to somewhere in Pune, somewhere in Kerala, all these places. So they have the trend. Like from Mumbai to Kerala, it takes these many days. From Mumbai to Pune, it takes just half a day or something. So that's how like they will have all these trends. Okay, and they also might know what route to follow and all. So what your predictive analysis will do is it will have predictive modeling at every stage. The truck, suppose there is a truck or the vehicle that carries the product from here to there, so they will have a predictive model in the truck which will predict or suggest the truck driver to take a particular route, that take this route, this will be helpful, because suppose a new driver has come or a new employee has come. So the model or the predictive analysis model, what you will do, the model will suggest that this is the route you need to follow, because this route will give you like the way Google Assistant gives, that this route will give you like lesser number of less path if the distance traveled will be less, and also like the road is good, so the driver can reach on time, reach like with lesser oil consumption. All these details will be given. So this is for logistic optimization. So for optimizing the logistics means while transporting the vehicles, whatever you use. So for optimizing that, you need this predictive models. Okay. Next is decision support system. So for taking any decision in the company, you need this decision support system, and that is also driven by your predictive models. So what are the types of, next comes, what are the types of predictive models? So broadly speaking, predictive models can be categorized into two types. One is your parametric and non-parametric. These are the two categories. So some type of predictive models are this ordinary least square, generalized linear models. We need not get into all these details. This is just for you, like get to know that these are the types of models. So you might have already heard about neural networks, decision trees, random forest, then adaptive regression splines. So these are like general some predictive models which are used for predicting the future. Okay, so what are the benefits of this? So already you know you can forecast the demand, then workforce planning and churn analysis, like how are the people churned or something. Accordingly, you need to take necessary measures. Then forecasting of external factors and analysis of competitors. So that also helps because if you're predicting something and you know that these many companies, some new companies have come, so after 5 years they might also grow. So that will also help you analyzing the competitor status, then fleet or equipment maintenance, modeling credit or other financial risks. And some challenges are like these are few challenges. So obviously anything whatever you use come with your like advantages as well as limitations. So these are like few challenges. So if you are going for predictive analysis, the first thing you need is your data. Okay, so the data which the model sees is now at under risk because you are in disclosing all your data to your models now. So you need to take care of the privacy and security of the data because your models are using, so somebody can tamper with your model and like misutilize your data. So data privacy and security is a major concern. Then data organization. So you if you are like taking multiple millions of data, you need to be able to organize the data properly and like use it properly. So that is also a biggest challenge because you are handling with lots of millions of data. So the organization is again a trouble. Then adaptability of models to new problems. So suppose a new kind of situation comes, your models would be able to adapt to that. Then sufficiently large and comprehensive data sets. So that's what I told you, data sets are used. Then next comes the future predictive modeling. So this is very little, we can just cover it in the next class. So is there any doubt for today's class, anybody, or was it clear?
Ma'am, clear.
It was clear, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so that's what for today. So I'll just give you quickly a poll. You can answer and then we can leave.
Ma'am, what about today's lab slot, ma'am?
Yeah. Acha, tell me, is it okay to have it after 6:30 or like anytime
Yes,
6:30 or
ma'am.
6? Is it okay for everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what time?
Yes,
6 or
ma'am.
6:30?
6:30.
6:30
6.
is fine, ma'am.
Okay. Then we shall meet at 6:30 today. Okay.
Okay.
Let me give you the poll so that you can answer and I will leave.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, from
we
6:30 till when, ma'am?
It will hardly take 45 minutes. Okay. 7:15 kind of thing. Okay.
Ma'am,
ma'am,
Yeah, so
class from 5:30 to 7, ma'am.
you have class till 7.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay to meet at 7?
Yes, ma'am, you can
Yes, ma'am.
record it. We can see the recording later.
Okay, fine. So what time is it? So what time shall we go for?
Yes.
Or tomorrow? That 11:30 kind of thing. Is it okay? Hello?
ma'am, not tomorrow, ma'am. Tomorrow, all the people are keeping the project review in the extramural hall.
Yes, ma'am. One of my sir also cancelled today's class and is keeping it tomorrow.
Ma'am, like 7 to 7:45, it's okay, ma'am, because
Yes, ma'am.
till 7,
Anytime today is okay.
everybody. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then 7 o'clock we'll meet today. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, for lab task, do we need to upload that if we have finished the task? Do we need to upload it as soon as possible because the tests are like in May only. or we can slowly also upload the task. No.
No, you can do it slowly, but if it's done, you can anyway do that. Why to keep it pending?
No, ma'am. Like that report formation and a little bit left. That's why I asked.
Okay, no, you can do it slowly.
After Cat 1 also we can upload,
Yeah,
ma'am,
yeah,
the
yeah,
completed task.
yeah, you
Okay.
can do that.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yeah, tell me.
I will mark the app in 6th February lab, ma'am.
Sorry?
Ma'am, I will be marked app on 26th February lab.
Okay, I told you, no, you just send me in WhatsApp and do it within the week. Why you are telling me for 6th February now? Okay, anyway, just send me in WhatsApp. Okay, I have given the question, all of you answer that and then you can leave. Okay,
Ma'am, I told
whatever,
26th.
Ma'am,
26th. Okay, today is Tuesday, no? You could have told me yesterday night itself. That's it. Those who have issues, just send me in WhatsApp all your details before Monday. Okay. Okay, all of you can answer your question and then you can leave. So we'll meet at today at 7. Okay. Okay, those who have answered can leave.
Ma'am,
Yeah, tell me.
ma'am, when is review one?
We'll have it after CAT 1.
Yes, ma'am.
After CAT 1.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then I'll end the meeting here. Thank you, everyone.